Every mortgage article that you're going to read is going to be so-and-so slashing this, chopping that division, cutting this. Everyone is shrinking right now. They're losing staff, they're losing LOs, they're losing branches, they're losing divisions. What companies are growing and what distinguishes between those who are growing and those who are shrinking? Now, where do you want to be professionally? Well, I would hope at this time, these trying times, you want to be with a team who's growing. And there are certain parameters that they all share in common. If you want to have a conversation about this, a discreet conversation, seriously, click this banner right over there and let's me and you talk. So bear with me on today's show because it might not seem like it pertains to you, but my goodness, it certainly does. Now, I just read an article titled, New Zealand Central Bank Says River Flooding Poses Bigger Risk to Lenders' Mortgage Portfolios. Thought, very interesting. But of course, we have the same thing happening here. Flood insurance premiums, massive defaults in water-ravaged areas, we get it. But what about this? How about the lack of water affecting both individuals, communities, and mortgage portfolios, but most importantly, you, the professional loan officer? Now again, stick with me for just a few minutes. I think this is pretty interesting, frightening, but interesting. You might not believe this, but what we're going to tell you is happening right now.
California is in a never-before-seen drought, a drought that has left one of the country's largest crop-producing states trying to find ways to allocate their ever-dwindling water supply.
Oh, and I get it. I mean, you're in New York, you're in Oklahoma, and you're saying, cry me a river, pun intended.
For example, the city of Coalinga, which has a population of 17,465, whose average citizen makes just over $28,000, just paid $1.1 million to keep the water running.
Because they had to buy water from other water sources. So think about this. It's a small, poor city. How long can they sustain paying $1.1 million to keep water in their city? Now, you may ask yourself, is this expensive? Is water expensive? Is this the norm? And the answers are, yes, this is wildly expensive for water, and no, this has never happened before.
Water sucks.
You're looking at the NASDAQ VELS California Water Index. Yes, it really exists. In March 2022, enough water to fill half the size of an Olympic pool cost $215, and by September, that same amount of water cost $1,282, or 600% more. Now, you'll note that we've come off of our high from September, but that's only because we've entered the winter months where the market is anticipating rain, so in short, prices are going to go up again.
And probably even higher as our drought continues. So the California Water Index. If you don't want to invest in the NASDAQ, you don't have to. If you don't want to invest in the Dow or the S&P, you don't have to. If you don't want to buy Bitcoin, Facebook, GameStop, or anything else, you don't have to. Now, if you live in the state of California, you must invest in the VALS NASDAQ of California, whatever the hell the thing is called. So how bad is this?
The entire Central Valley of California, an area bigger than most states, is sinking. Nearly 1,200 square miles of California is sinking 2 inches a month. It's destroying roads, bridges, and farmland in the process. Since 1988, the valley has collapsed by nearly 10 feet. Why? Well, because the massive water aquifer that lies beneath California has been sucked dry by farmers as a result of the longest protracted drought the state has ever seen.
And by the way, we don't want to throw the farmers under the bus because this is not necessarily their fault. What's happening is the city of Coalinga is going to lose 80% of their water next year. Why is this happening? Well, because in Southern and Northern California, we have to make sure our golf courses are absolutely perfectly green, and we have to have running water in all of our public toilets everywhere. So it's not the farmers, but we're taking a limited and dwindling resource and we're just stretching it thin. Okay, so what happens if this goes on for another couple of years? And it's going to. First of all, Coalinga is done. They're on the clock to being a ghost town. They can't afford the water.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
How many abandoned houses and default mortgages does that mean? As water dries up, how many more Coalingas are out there paying more for an ever-dwindling water supply? How expensive will water get? This, my friends, is a domino effect that is going to go town to town through the entire state of California. How many defaults does that mean? Because without water, everybody and everything becomes a ghost town. Consider California has a population of nearly 40 million people with over 14 million homes. All of those homes and people are defaults and displaced if it doesn't rain in the next next 2 or 3 years. And it's not looking like that's going to happen. The consequences are dire. This would utterly destroy the United States housing and mortgage markets everywhere. And that means everyone in every county is going to feel the pain all around the country. You always hear that water will one day be more expensive than oil. Well, I think it starts today, and it begins in a little town called Kalinga. Sorry about today's story, but I hope you look at this a little bit more closely. And by the way, everybody in California, quit watering your damn yards, and we don't need all these golf courses. Talk to you soon.
This place is coming like a ghost.